Leeds United are looking like they are going to be loaning out two different players to various EFL opposition, and I think that could have a pretty big impact on the players coming in this transfer window. So in this video, I'm going to talk through the players that are going out, where they're going to, why they are going there, because it feels like it's different motives for each one. In addition to that, we're going to talk about what it means for the potential for players coming in the other direction, which I think could be absolutely huge for us and could change things going forwards. First up, we need to talk about the obvious one, the player that everyone knew was going to be going out on loan this window. Let's talk about Joe Gelhardt, shall we? Joe Gelhardt was initially one of the big stars of tomorrow. He was a player that was in the Premier League playing, chipping in with goals and assists, essential in that season where we just about survived relegation. But in the time since, he's sort of been replaced time and time again by players that have come in. Replaced by Piru in terms of a 9-10 hybrid thing. Replaced by Mateo Joseph, who's seemingly jumped him in the pecking order. Ruter in terms of the number 10 role, and it just looks like he's not had any opportunity to get in the side, and I completely understand him wanting to make a move. It looks like it's going to be to Hull City, who currently sit 22nd in the Championship, and the idea, in my opinion, is going to be to kickstart his career all over again. If he does well out at Hull, I can see him potentially deciding to find another permanent move in the Championship next season. Whether that's Hull or whether that's somewhere else is completely up to him, but he kind of needs this. He needs the opportunity to get a lot more minutes to develop as a player rather than just being in training, because match situations and training are two completely different contexts, and he's not even getting in matchday squads at Leeds at the minute. I feel the reason he wasn't picked in the match against Harrogate was because this deal was being bashed out. It says that he's going out on loan to me entirely, and he will do. And I will get into what that means for our own transfer prospects in a couple of minutes' time, but we need to talk about the other move out, which is Charlie Crew. Discussions on his move to Doncaster Rovers at the moment are in the very late stages of discussion, and this one makes sense. Doncaster, a fellow Yorkshire side, so we won't have to be going too far. They are currently fighting for promotion out of League Two, if I remember correctly. I'm just going to double check that one. But it's a side where he's going to get fairly consistent football. He's going to be able to make sure that he is developing in the way that Gelhardt didn't. It looks like what's happened here is the 49ers have gone, that wasn't great. And we're now returning to that sort of pre-Bielsa state of, okay, we'll loan out players if it looks like they're not going to get minutes. Especially for a Crew who is someone in pre-season, everyone was like, he's going to start playing games. Before we realised that not everyone coming through the youth system is going to be Archie Gray, because Archie Gray, very special player. Charlie Crew, very good footballer, no doubt. At least League Two level at the minute, I would say. But he's not going to be breaking into Championship sides, and he's not going to be moving for £40 million in the summer. That's the difference, and I think he needs to play a lot more football to bring out the level of potential that he has, and ultimately we can work out where he is based on that, and judge what to do in the summer, whether that's a move to another EFL side, ideally higher up than League Two, or whether that's sticking around being a rotational player for us, ideally in the Premier League. We'll find out. It'll all come down to what happens in this loan move. But the one that has the biggest impact on our incoming players, in my opinion, is the Gelhardt one. One of the big topics of conversation that we've been having constantly is around, are we going to get anyone in? Are we going to get a 10 in? Are we going to get a 9 in? And for me, I take a message from this deal that a lot of people don't, in that it says to me, probably yeah. Because as mentioned by Daniel Farke in his most recent press conference, at least at the time of recording, I don't know when his next presser is, it might be Thursday, it might be Friday, but in his presser before the Harrogate Town match, he said, what happens with Gelhardt will depend on what Bamford's injury is looking like. It was either that one or the one before where he said that. And a significant proportion of that comes down to, well, Bamford's injury was worse than we initially thought. We thought it'd be a hamstring strain that'd take him out to the end of the month. Now it's 4 to 6 weeks. So his injury being extended says, well, we would ideally need a Gelhardt to stick around. We wouldn't be releasing him on loan. Unless we were to have that cover from somewhere else. That cover being one of the players that we've been, admittedly not very credibly, but one of the players that we've been linked to from outside the club, which is great to me, at least for now, because I feel like we wouldn't be releasing a player to leave us with just 2 strikers after a FA Cup match where it felt like our strikers were the weak point of the side. Like, I do like Mateo Joseph, but at the same time, trust yourself a bit more when it comes to having a shot. He's got a tendency to take one or two too many touches. But having seen that there's a lot of conversation around Berisha and Latte Lat, a lot of that will just be agent chat. But some of that will have a root in something, and a root in the idea that we're letting a striker go. We're letting a striker cross 9, not 9, cross 10 go, leaving Piru, Joseph, and an injured player. Fill in that gap. I feel like that's the plan here. It might just be a stab in the dark because we've also had, I watched Joe's video recently, the Supporters Advisory Board conversation with Angus Kinnear, where he said it's also going to be a quiet month. That just feels like following the party line. Consistently, we are told that it's going to be quiet, and we're told that the 49ers like to stay relatively quiet when it comes to getting these deals done. And I like that. I like, what have I done with the hair? That'll do. Sod it. And I like being in a position where we're not just giving information out, because other clubs can use that when they're doing various negotiations. And if we're just handing out the information to people, then we're just creating a rod for our own back. I think this is a continuation of the staying quiet and doing business behind the scenes thing. And it seems like a weird curse that we're building for ourselves, where we accept it when there's a decent amount of time in the transfer window. We accept that it's quiet because it's like things will happen. And they always do happen in the last week or so of the window. Look at the last week of the window last time out. Tanaka, Isaac Schmidt. Not bad signings at all. We signed, I would say, the best midfielder in the league in the final week of the last window. Which, I'll take that. So to me, it feels like a lot of don't expect too much. It's expectation setting, and then you want to overperform that. I feel like we'll get some money. If we don't, I'll be very, very surprised, and I will admit that I'm wrong. Fair enough. But it feels like a setup for something will come in to cover for that Gelhardt-shaped hole. We won't need to fill in for Charlie Crew in the slightest. I think we could also probably let James DeBio go out on loan. I'd rather we didn't, just because defence is one of the areas where the depth is maybe a bit of a question mark, especially right back. I'd quite like a right back, But I'm feeling reasonably confident. I know that Joe's video was Angus confirms no signings, but I think there will be, because quiet window doesn't mean silent window. And that's something that I've always tried to pay a little bit of attention to. Then again, he could be right. He probably is, but that's always the optimist in me, innit? Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, pop a like on it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below if we will sign anyone. Just do a yes, no. I kind of want to count. And subscribe if you're not. And you could even be a channel member. 99p a month. And it's a great time. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. I will see you later. If we don't sign anyone now, I'm going to look such a tit. Be funny though, wouldn't it? Be fine. Be fine.